If I asked you, like right now, what would you say feels like success to you? If you took away all this noise around and you're like, for me, right now in my life,
Mm.
this feels successful.
I've always loved that question because I feel that success for me, um, it's just been a different meaning to me. But success for me has always been feeling happy where I am. And I've
Yeah.
always been a person, I never had FOMO, like fear of missing out in my whole life. I've always been happy where I am because I decided to
Yeah.
be here. Like I didn't
Yeah.
decide to be anywhere else. And my decision is, I stand firm with that.
Welcome back to Friends of Sublime, the podcast where we dive into stories, struggles, and breakthroughs behind creative lives. Today, I am joined by Clara Morberg, a friend and a Swedish photographer and creative director whose work captures emotions in its most honest, raw form. Her images hold a soft power, revealing the beauty of being human. And Clara is also a 6'2" manifesting generator in human design. She's here to lead life through lived experiences. He moves when something feels right, not when it's planned. And in this conversation, we talk about intuition, motherhood, and creative sensitivity, and how success at its core, it's really about time. Time to feel, time to create, and time to live at your own rhythm. Let's begin. Thank you so much for joining Friends of Sublime podcast.
Thank you for having me.
As a fellow Swedish woman, mother, and creative, it is absolutely wonderful to be able to have you as a guest and just let other people get to know your story, your human design, which we will talk a little bit about, and just in general, your journey and perspective on life. I know it's very valuable. I value you as a friend and as a
Mm.
creative, and I'm really happy for other people to also find you. um, I want to highlight that Clara is currently living in Sweden, but as somebody has lived all around the world, which we will hear about, I'm sure, has been kind of like a return for you. And so I thought we'll start at the beginning of the journey of life where you grew up in Sweden. I'd love for you to share a little bit about your upbringing, your parents' kind of perspective on creativity, and also a little bit about you. When did you know you were creative? How did you kind of get involved in different kinds of creative fields and so on?
Well, as you said, I grew up in Sweden, in Gothenburg, with my lovely family, my mom, my dad, and my little brother. I mean, I had a wonderful childhood. I painted a lot as a child. Like, I think my mom and dad have like 3 boxes full of paintings. I mean, I know now how it is with Rumi coming home with like, look, mom. So, but also my grandma I mean, she's not alive anymore.
That's so sad.
So my dad I mean, I don't want to put him in like he doesn't have any creativity in him, but I don't think, I mean, a little bit maybe, but I don't really see it in him in that way. But my mom obviously has a lot of, she's good at painting. She's a makeup artist. She's been a model like my whole childhood and since she was like 14. So I grew up with that and, also doing catwalks with her as a kid. And yeah, I just grew up with the camera, but more like modeling with her as a child. And not many times, but, also watching her and
Yeah.
seeing photos of her. And so, but to be honest, I think my creativity was more in interior design. I was always redecorating my room as a child, very organized. I really knew how I wanted it early on. So I think after high school and, growing up here, I was looking at schools abroad in London and in New York, and I ended up in New York. So I studied at New York School of Interior Design for 3 years, and
Nice.
I was loving it. It was really, really nice. The first year, I think, year and a half, you drew everything by hand, all the 3D and in high school, I didn't really feel like I was a great student. I wasn't, loving it. But then in when I was studying something that I actually loved, I was a really good student. So it was a great time of my life, both for my confidence and also, just living somewhere else and exploring myself. And as
Yes.
I did, I I kind of had a different look at life. My life motto changed and I didn't really see life the same anymore. Like coming to New York, I knew that I wanted to make money. I wanted to have a house one day and a dog and, a family. I mean, a family always been a dream, but as I lived in New York, I realized that I wanted something else. I wanted to explore. I wanted to travel. Living in New York, I started traveling and through, my spring break and stuff. And also I met really interesting people. So coming from I lost the love of things.
Yes.
When you do interior design, you have to really tell people what's really hip and what's furniture you should have and really expensive stuff, to be honest. And I
Yeah.
never really been good at name dropping famous designers and stuff or
Yeah.
anything like that. So I kind of felt like if I should be on the New York market, I need to know these things. And yeah, just got a lot of realizations. And I met also photographers. I had my
Yeah.
first model. I was modeling for a photographer. Her name is Eva. I think she's even called Eva G. And she was just so cool. She was older than me and she shot black and white and half nude and was just, yeah, she was so cool. And I loved her photos and she shot me. So I was and they turned out so good. I still love those pictures. And yeah, she was actually a really big inspiration for me. And I also told her this, that she sparked something in me. After all the traveling and then also finishing my degree, I moved back home again.
Yeah.
To have a really good paid internship in Sweden that I was dying from the inside sitting at that office. And I mean, it was not only because of the task that I got, but I think I knew that they wasn't really taking care of me because there was a miscommunication. Anyways, with that, I just okay, I need to go back to the States. I need to, go back to where I feel alive. And so I moved to LA, but I bought my first camera. So I
Mm.
traveled with my camera to LA and then I went to Burning Man. I don't know if it was my second or third time, but I remember, and I tell this when I've done my photography workshops because people will always ask, are you self-taught or what, did you study photography?
Yeah.
But I've only learned from doing. So coming to Burning
Yeah.
Man with my new camera, I thought I didn't know anything. I asked my friends about how does it work? How do you work with because you want to shoot manual, not autofocus or autofocus you do, but auto, with the settings.
Yeah. Auto settings.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, even if I'm a photographer, I'm still super basic with what I use. I'm not really tech and how I explain things. Sometimes I don't think that people even is she even a photographer the way she speaks. But
Well, I think your photos shows for themselves
well,
that you
yeah,
are.
yeah, but yeah, of course, it says it all. But I think sometimes people get so caught up in oh, you need to have a good camera, you need to have you need to know everything. But no, you just need to try and you need to do it.
Mm.
And that's what I did. I got my camera, I went to Burning Man, and I was I thought my camera was broken because I didn't know the settings. I was missing the aperture setting on my camera, which is Fuji sitting in the lens. So I thought, oh, it's broken. It's it's too bright and yeah, just hilarious. And so from there, I started traveling with my camera, shooting my friends, contacting people randomly on Instagram that I
Yeah.
found through friends, just doing a little research. And yeah, that's how I got into I mean, I have this urge of wanting to create through my lens. It's
Yeah. I mean, on that note, I think we should talk a little about your human design. You are a 6-2 manifesting generator. It is a kind of an amazing profile in this world. It's essentially you being a superwoman. Yeah, really, it really is. And but it does mean that you're built for things like movement and flow and creative response rather than structure and long-term planning. And
Yeah,
so obviously, if you talk about
very me.
interior design and you talk about photography, and as somebody who works in the field of interior design, I know very well that it is all about structure and long-term planning. It pretends to be creative in another way, which is why I
Yeah,
design things myself from the scratch. But if I was just purchasing and putting purchase orders through, it would
yeah.
not be creative. It's really not a creative thing.
Mm-mm.
And so then I look at you as a photographer now in your essence, and you're enjoying this movement. You're enjoying also being able to travel and meet new people. and you are responding to your creativity. And this is actually your profile. This is how you're built. So in human design, it makes total sense for you to kind of be lit up by this idea of maybe putting together a shoot, maybe doing creative direction for the shoot, finding the people or the places and the moments, and it
Yeah.
becomes like play and form and kind of emotions in movement, and so you're capturing that. I mean, I love your
Yeah.
work, and also I think that a lot of your work is very it's very like emotional, in the sense like your work is somehow, it feels both like it's moving and it's still, like, and when I say still, I don't mean like someone's holding a pose. I mean still as in it's quiet, it's grounded, and then you have this like sharp, like there's still all this movement, and quite a lot of your pictures is quite nude, not all of them, but a
Yeah.
lot of them.
Yeah.
And but they are also just kind of following the forms and shapes. It's not actually about them being nude, that's at least how I see it. And so, yeah, looking at your human design, all of this makes total sense. And also the fact that you, which I had forgotten, and that's a good, we gotta talk about that a bit more later, that you also are doing these amazing photography little courses and so on. Because actually the 6'2", which we happen to share, and I didn't know until I looked up your chart, I'm also 6'2". And it means that at some point in life, often not before the age of 30, but after and onwards, we may have skills that we have harnessed, that we have worked on. And those skills, we are meant to essentially live them. And through us being authentic, living them,
Yeah.
loving what we do, we're then going to be the teachers of that, and not in this kind of school way, like, follow this, like we know it by heart. And like you said, sometimes you might not even know a setting of something, but because your fingers have a memory, like,
Yeah.
there's like, you know it.
Yeah.
And so there's that difference between somebody who can kind of textbook and somebody who has lived and knows.
Yeah.
And so that's the other part of your profile. And so I love that. And I hope that we will talk about that a little bit in the end of the podcast, I think, more about those little courses and other things that you are creating that is outside of capturing moments. And so I love that. And I wanted to just return back to your upbringing, because something, a kind of a common theme when people choose to work as creatives is that their family don't understand them. But in your case, it does
Yeah.
sound to me like they actually got you, that they were
No,
like,
they did.
yeah,
Yeah. They did.
do
Yeah.
this.
No, they
Yeah.
really, I mean, I was never questioned by my family. I always had the greatest support from my mom and my dad. I've always loved that about them. Like, even in early age, they always trusted me.
Yeah.
And obviously they're both entrepreneurs. Like, my dad doesn't neither of my parents have any degree in university. I don't think my mom even finished high
Self-made
school.
entrepreneurs.
Yeah, my mom didn't even finish high school, and she's just rocking her career her whole life.
I love that.
Yeah, no, they're
I love
really
that.
hardworking people. My mom has also always valued her own time. Like, she works
Yeah.
really hard and is really dedicated to a job, and then, as being a freelancer and being your own boss, you can decide that yourself. And obviously I also appreciate that. And I noticed really early on that I also need to have my own company. I mean, obviously, I remember through my travels, and I don't think really my grandma maybe understood fully what I like. Obviously, she saw my photos and stuff, but she was always like,
Yeah.
"Clara, just you're just running around in a bikini. Like, can you come home?" She didn't. She was like, "When is she gonna stop being in a bikini and come home?" Like, because she missed me, but it's like the most hilarious comment she ever made. Because obviously I was always in a bikini,
Yeah.
even in my
Yeah.
shoots, like, yeah,
Yeah.
so
Because
it's
you've been
really,
shooting in a lot of beautiful locations. Actually, if we
yeah.
talk about that, so you lived in New York, you lived in LA. What did you do in LA? You didn't share that, like beyond going to Burning Man.
Yeah,
What did you do
no,
in
I left Sweden, went to Burning Man. I was like, "I'm going to Burning Man," because I just wanted to, like, I felt like Sweden was too small for me at the moment,
Yeah.
and then I was staying with my friends. My friend Julia and her husband Scott let me stay in their house. Yeah, it was great. I was actually going in and out a lot. Like I was in LA and then I went to Mexico for 3 months and then I came back to LA because I created like a community there.
Oh, nice.
And I also visited Costa Rica for the first time.
Yeah.
So that was like yeah, it was a lot of traveling and a lot of exploring with my camera and, just starting to figure
Yeah.
out what I wanted to do. I wasn't as coming with the confidence that I always knew that I could come back home, like with my
Yeah.
career, with my, I had the degree in interior design
Yeah.
and I could also always work at my family's restaurant if I needed, money.
Yeah.
And I always had the greatest support from my parents. So I had so much confidence in myself and exploring and trying and not really thinking about the future in a way. I
Mm.
always been very
In the
open ma
moment.
yeah, always very in the moment and really just
I think this
trying
is great for creativity, right? It's great for
yeah.
creativity. You're able to give a lot of attention to what feels right in the moment,
Mhm.
create from that moment, and then find another moment. So regarding that, so you lived in LA for a while, then you were in Mexico. I
Mhm.
mean, we met. So for people who don't know this, when I was living in Mexico, I met Clara and she was speaking Swedish and I couldn't believe it because there wasn't any other Swedish people around.
Yeah.
And I was so happy to have met another Swede in Mexico.
But the funny thing is the time I moved to Mexico, that was before. I went to Mexico and I actually met another Swedish girl and that was also really nice to meet. I know the feeling of meeting a Swedish person because obviously
Yeah.
the second time I met you and yeah, but that was years after because I went to Mexico first and I didn't, I was there for 3 months and I didn't really love it. I mean, it was nice,
Nice.
but then Costa Rica actually got my attention more. Moving to Costa Rica after many visits there, then I moved to Mexico again, and then I
Uh-huh.
met you, and that's where,
I see.
yeah,
So
because I
Costa
had
Rica was in between. Yes.
yeah, no, it's like Mexico I went to, like, I don't even I'm so bad at the going back in time, but yeah, I went through a lot of things before going back to
Before.
Mexico again. Yeah.
So you was Costa Rica. I know also you were in Bali for a bit, but I don't know if that was
Yeah.
longer, kind of like,
No, but I was
yeah,
traveling a lot, like, with my
around.
partner at that time,
Yeah.
and we were working together. He actually also taught me a lot about how to manage your own business, how to talk to clients. So
Cool.
he's a big part of like my, how I approached my freelance life, and because I
Yeah.
didn't know anything about that, but he taught me a lot, and I'm very grateful for that.
Is there some of those lessons that you can think of now that you're like, these are some great things that I learned? Like, for example, how to talk to clients. Did you guys talk about, I don't know. I mean, something I was struggling with for ages was like contracts. In photography, I don't really know with the contracts because I guess a shoot is it's quite clear, now we shoot, here are your pictures, this is the
Yeah,
payment.
yeah, yeah.
It might be much more straightforward than when I'm doing projects as an interior architect, But those kind of things, like how about pricing? Did he
He
support
taught
you
me,
in how to
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
put your
about that
pricing
was
there? And
for sure about the pricing and also to know your value.
yeah,
Like, and obviously, I mean, we're still friends, me and my ex-partner, and we still talk about pricing and we still talk about valuing our work and knowing, how much we can charge because it's an ongoing discussion with creatives, I think. And coming from a lot of experience and having the years, it's hard. But he taught me that. And he also taught me how to structure my files, like,
yeah,
Dropbox and all these things. And I'm so happy about, like, I also like to have it really organized. So that is also a really good thing to think about if you want to do photography and to really come up with a good system.
yeah,
And yeah, just also learning how to pitch clients, like how to make a presentation. I
yeah,
always love doing like collages and putting together, ideas. So it's always been very
yes,
natural for me. But no, it was a lot of learning with him, and I thanked him a lot for that
yeah.
before. Yeah, it was a great school being with him,
Nice.
and also
I love
super fun.
that's how it should be. You should
Yeah,
be encouraging and supporting each other. So I love that. Sounds very
yeah,
healthy.
no, it was
Um,
super nice.
And in terms of how long would you say that for people who either are in the industry and they're like looking kind of for answers, or for people who are about to start the industry, or even thinking about maybe they have a current job and they're like, I actually want to do more of whatever creative job they have, especially if it's something along the lines of photography. How long would you say people, this is something I've been asking other of my podcast guests who have other creative professions, how
Mm-hmm.
long did it take for you if you said like, well, because we all know this goes up and down. It's not so straightforward, or so linear always.
Yeah.
But how long would you say roughly that it took you to be able to say like, hey, actually I can pay my bills with this now, Maybe not making a huge amount over my bills, but like I can pay my bills and I have that trust that I can grow and increase my pricing and so on. We're talking years, or we're talking months, or we're talking decades.
No, I would say, as I'm really bad going back in time, sometimes I'm like, I realize that I say like, oh, it's been 6 years since but the years go by. So I'm like, no, you need to add some years to the 6 years. But I think I remember when I was in Costa Rica and I did this first shoot for a brand I've been shooting for a lot. It's been one of my remaining clients. And I think that was like the first year, maybe after, I mean, it took some time, but to be honest, I think luckily I met my partner who was already in it and he gave me my first
Mm,
paid job. So thanks to Linus,
yeah.
I got paid jobs early.
Because he's a videographer, am I right?
Yeah, he's a videographer
Yeah.
and I mean also
Yeah.
photographer. He did both and still does, I
Oh,
think, but
yeah.
mostly video. And how we met was that he needed a photographer and he loved my work, so he hired me. And yeah, I guess I was lucky to, but also that's also something I encourage people to do who wants to do photography is that just post, like share
Yeah.
your stuff. Don't overthink it. Just share it and have it out there because that's going to help people see your work and that's your portfolio.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I think that's what helped, me a lot and, sharing without hesitation or without like, oh, is it good enough? Or
Yeah.
I loved it for me and I still do. I do it for me.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah.
I mean, I think that this is very accurate to how I know you as a friend as well. You have a lot of authenticity. You are you're very courageous to be vulnerable, and I think this shows in your work as well. And clearly, it shows also in how you market yourself. You are authentic. You're like, hey, this is what I
Yeah.
do. And so I feel like a lot of people, including myself, are quite sometimes hesitant to show things out of the idea of judgment and
Mm-hmm.
thinking that something isn't looking polished enough or whatever. I mean, I think all your stuff looks super polished, but I'm sure when you look at some of the stuff, you're like, oh, I did like, is that good enough? But you're still
But
then going
actually,
for it.
I'm gonna be that annoying person and say, I mean, maybe it's gonna poke some people's eyes, but I actually don't think that about my own work. I am actually really proud. And I don't know if it's because I know I have a lot of friends, and one of my best friends, like, she's an incredible photographer, but she's super picky and she's like only
Mm.
posting what is close to perfection. If you hear this, I love you, and we talk about this,
No,
me
but
and
this is
her.
good. Yeah. Yeah.
No, we talk about this, me and her, and I don't see what I post and when I share, I just love it. I actually should post more, but it's more about what I struggle with is the consistency with like
Mm.
keeping up with my and also promoting myself. I say this a lot and I don't think it's anything bad. I want to be honest with that because I as a creative, I honestly think that if I would have been a little bit more business orientated and if I would have been a little bit more like because I am just really like I actually did a little bit more research on my human design after you told me, and it's just so spot on that I'm like,
It's so
I
spot on, right?
yeah, it really is, and I promoting myself is something that I've really had to work on, and I'm still working on it, and but the stuff about me posting my work, I'm really proud, and I really love, what I do,
Yeah.
and I'm proud over same thing with doing my exhibitions. I never doubt oh, is it good or is it obviously I would be like, oh, will someone buy? That's a
Yeah.
question, but
Yeah.
I say like, oh, I want this on my wall. I love
Yeah.
I have some I haven't hung it yet, but I really yeah, I love my own work. I can probably
Yeah,
say
and
that.
and 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 that's how it should be. And I think that's so beautiful. And actually, I have to say, you're one of the few podcast guests that I have that would be just saying that they had a great upbringing and that they didn't have to,
Yeah.
rewire subconscious beliefs from their parents, like
Mhm.
telling them that creative jobs wasn't a real thing and they need to get this real
Yeah.
job and all of that stuff. So for me
Mhm.
to hear all these things, this just proves the point that a nourishing upbringing with care and understanding really nurtures you for the long haul. Doesn't mean that things don't happen in life which are challenging, but it means that you feel safe enough
Yeah.
to know that you're always held. And
Mhm.
that's really beautiful because I think that means that you're creating from a level of thriving. Even when
Mm.
you're new at it, even when you're figuring out, even when you're finding out what you want and who you are as a creative. And so I'm really happy to hear all of this, that you're, I mean, maybe that's also why one of the reasons I love your work, because there is this harmony piece in it.
Yeah.
There is this harmony piece. And I mean,
Mm.
for anyone who's listened to this podcast, if you haven't already, which I'm sure you have, go on to Clara's website and to her Instagram and have a look for yourself, because I think you'll all find parts of her different collections that they're appealing to you and speaks to you in different levels. So I love that. And now
Thank
I
you.
actually want to come back a little bit to your experiences, because I also do
Mhm.
think that the photographers that I know that are thriving, they are the ones who have been living in different places, meeting new people. It's very social. Like a photographer is usually quite a social person.
Mhm.
And so if we talk about Costa Rica, what is it in Costa Rica? Like, where did you used to go? I know that you surf. Like, what was your life
Mhm.
like? And yeah, give us a little bit more of an insight of your, work and life balance.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was just I always got the question like, how do you afford traveling so much? Obviously, from the age of 20, yeah, I moved to New York when I was 20, turned 21. Obviously, school was my focus the 3 years, but after that, I was working, and obviously I didn't have an apartment like most people did at that age in my country, and I was working for a lifestyle that, my work brought me to different
Yeah.
locations, to different destinations. And as I, explored different places, I fell in love with Costa Rica
Yeah.
and I fell in love with surf. And that is also actually thanks to Elinus. Like, I have a lot to thank for him. Like, and I'm super grateful for him in that way. And
Well,
so
we
he
can
taught.
tag him in the show notes if people want to see his work, because it's also really
Yeah,
good,
no,
his
he's
work.
incredible and he
Yeah.
deserves all the work. Like, he's incredible and an incredible human being. He taught me surf, and so Costa Rica has incredible waves, like especially, I mean, I know there's more spots, but I was in Santa Teresa, it's
Yeah.
called. And so spending a lot of time there, I also got a lot of friends there. One of my best girlfriends, she's from Costa Rica.
Yeah.
And choosing a lifestyle that I wanted for myself, that's where I pushed towards. I wanted to have that barefoot life. I wanted to have the freedom of, waking up in the morning and go surf. Like, I wanted to live in a place where I could surf. So I chose Costa Rica for myself. And that's how I also, coming back and forth there a lot, I built like a people knew of me. I mean, they still know of
Yeah.
me there, I believe. And, so I think people from the States also followed me. So a lot of people from the
Yeah.
States travel there. So they hired me for their engagement, for private shoots, and also brands in Costa Rica. And it was just like I really made myself a platform through my Instagram. That was
Yeah.
my own agency in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. Your
So
portfolio. Yeah. Where people
yeah,
could find you and hire
yeah.
you through
And
socials.
obviously, whenever I was in Costa Rica, especially Costa Rica, my inspiration was flooding. I was taking
Wow.
photos, for brands, but also for myself and for with my girlfriends, and that's where all my
Mm.
nude, you know, nature photos comes in, because we were always nude swimming in these tide pools and going to the waterfalls and eating fruit. Like, there's always like a moment that I wanted to capture just very naturally, nothing ever forced. And it still is, but I haven't had it in a while, which I miss. The connection and the creativity with my girls and all women in general is just one of my favorite things to do. Like, there's nothing that gives me, obviously my song gives me the most joy, but yeah, there's something special about that. And I also love how women feel and I say this with love, like they feel comfortable with me in front of the camera, and the way I see them, they appreciate that, and they like, oh wow. And I also know this for myself, like when I've been with photographers who see me, and it's such a
Yeah.
beautiful. I'm not saying that photos is showing you how to love yourself, but it's like a reminder of like, oh wow, I'm this. This is me.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's, I think I lost your question there, but in that, living for my freedom, for my creativity, for the love for the ocean, for surfing, I just made my way. And Costa Rica has been, living there has been one of my most like efficient time with work and pleasures and friends, because I built myself like, yeah, like I said, it just,
Yeah, this beautiful platform where people could
yeah,
find you and hire you, and also, you had good friends. Well, you still
yeah.
have great friends there. Yeah, I love that. And then after Costa Rica, you come back to Sweden again for a while, and then you went to Mexico? Or how did you end up in Mexico? What's the connection to Mexico? When I met you, it was late pandemic, I would say.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. I actually spent pandemic a little bit everywhere, I think, which was really, yeah, we were traveling.
Claire's one of the only humans who did that.
Yeah, I think so. I get this question a lot, and it's like, because I think it has to do with also where I come from and my family, and not where I come from my family and the safety that I feel. But I've never really been scared to do things,
Yeah.
to try things, and yeah. But I was also traveling with a team. Like, it
Mm,
was we were team working, and obviously we're like as freelancer and as a you know global global like travelers with our cameras. I don't know. We might somehow managed. This might be an unpopular truth, but that's how it was.
yeah, well, it sounds amazing
Yeah, but then after in Costa
that you
Rica,
managed.
after
Yeah,
yeah, but after all this, I decided to move to Costa Rica. And but then why I went to Mexico is because I met the dad to my son now. So
to Rumi,
he
yes.
yeah, he lived in Tulum, where I've been before. So I went to
Yeah.
visit him because we connected in Costa Rica. And then when I visited him, I kind of got stuck. So
Ah,
yeah,
there
we
we
fell in
go.
love with it.
I
Yeah, we fell
understand.
in love with each other. And then I got pregnant with him. And
Yeah.
there we have Rumi. And that's where I met you.
Yes, and that's when you met me. And then you and Rumi have also traveled the world together. Rumi is such a
Yeah.
world, yeah, like a well-traveled,
Hmm.
little kid right now. It's
Yeah,
quite
yeah. He's
amazing
been
where he's
traveling
been.
a lot.
He's been traveling a lot. Obviously, if we, this is a good time to essentially discuss motherhood, because this is also something that's connected you and I a lot over these last
Mm,
years since I became a mom.
yeah.
It's been great to have somebody who, I could ask questions and connect with, and who understood motherhood more than me because of your experience. So, with motherhood and being a freelancer, there's definitely, I don't know any freelancer who's not already finding, ups and downs in their careers. And then motherhood
Yeah.
demands so much. And I think motherhood is like one of those things where if you want to be a loving, caring, supportive, nourishing, present mother, well, that's a whole other level of
Mm,
mothering or parenting in general. And so I'd love for you to just share a little bit about how it's been since you became a mom.
yeah.
Have you been able to take on shoots? Have you been able to show up in your creative field? Because also being a mom is a very creative job, you know? How has
Yeah.
that changed you? How has that shifted in you?
That's a very good question. And I'm, I've always wanted to be a mom, but then when I got pregnant, I was actually, oh, wait, my freedom and my explorative lifestyle. And, there was so many questions in that. But after becoming a mom, I did shoots I was doing shoots while pregnant, like, and then also when Rumi was like only, I don't even know, it was 1 month, 2 months, and putting together a full shoot for a Swedish brand in Mexico. So it was like, yeah, I had my mom to help me. She was with me at the shoot with Rumi,
Oh,
and
nice.
it was a shoot with kids actually, so it was like, super fun.
That's beautiful.
And I feel like I've had the abundance, and like, even if I had Rumi, I still been able to work the way I do, but to a way smaller extent. Like
Mm.
it's been challenging because also I'm with Rumi by myself. Like I've been
Yeah.
and in Costa Rica, last time we stayed there, we were there for like 6 months and I found a really good workspace, like rhythm, because I had help
Yeah.
with a nanny.
Yeah.
And
It makes such a difference to have a
yeah,
wonderful
no,
caretaker to help
yeah,
out. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was, she was magical. And also, obviously, as a photographer, your times are like sunrise and sunset.
Oh, yes, that's
Yeah.
true.
Obviously, there's so many because you want to be a present mom and you want to be able
Yeah.
to, spend so much time with your child. And as a freelancer, I feel that I do have the privilege of spending a lot of time with my son, but
Yeah.
I also feel the pressure of like making money.
Yeah.
So I've noticed like in discussion with friends that I'm like, because lately I feel like there's a stagnation in me that I'm like, what is not flowing the same? And it's obviously because I'm a mom. I'm a mom
Mm.
24/7 every day
Yeah.
and also doing it a lot by myself. So there's I think I forget that I'm not the same anymore and somebody else is
Yeah.
needing me more than myself. And that has been challenging. And I'm still coping with that and trying to figure it out. Coming to Sweden has also been a, a new chapter in many ways, and also not only choosing living in a different environment but also working. I mean, I've worked with Swedish clients a lot, but now it's in a different way because obviously my work has been more in nature and it's still
Yeah.
existing here, but here it's very e-commerce and it's very a lot
Mm.
of that. So I that's what I love about my job is that there's always ways to grow and to shoot new things, and it's an ongoing learning process. But I've
Do you find
noticed,
yourself creative in Sweden, on a
yeah,
general basis? Because I mean, it could be great to be in Sweden for many reasons, but if you just
yeah,
purely look at your own
no,
creativity,
obviously not. I had this conversation with my dad not
yeah,
long ago, and because we talked about like being solo with Rumi, and like obviously I chose to be here because I have help from my parents, and also
yeah,
because Rumi has a
which
really
are
good.
just lovely, and I
No,
mean,
they're
I've seen it.
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, they're incredible, and Rumi is just loving them, which
No,
is
he's
just
he's they're
amazing.
yeah, they're his favorites. And yeah, so obviously I've also been very close to my family, but even if I've
Yeah,
traveled, I never felt far away from them. So if I would choose for myself fully, like if I could, I would live
yeah,
closer. I would obviously live somewhere where I could surf and where I could be, I do value a life that is more minimalistic. And
yeah.
I feel that in Costa Rica. That's where I felt at home. And people are like, why, how come you were in Costa Rica? Like, do you feel at home there? Were you safe? I'm like, yeah, it's like my second home.
Yeah,
I feel like I know every corner and I know so many people. And I just love how I feel there with myself and
yeah,
with
yeah,
everything that I am. But there's also something in me that's landed after becoming a mom. There's more of an ease to like, okay, wait, what actually matters in life, you know?
mm,
Obviously, living that life that I always wanted for myself, it's different now because I have Rumi and my values are
yeah.
different. And I want him to be in a place at this kindergarten Montessori where I have him. I think it's
I
great.
love the
Like,
Montessori ones.
yeah,
So
yeah,
beautiful.
I think it's inspired by Montessori. I don't think they can claim themselves as Montessori, but it's private.
Yeah. If it's like childcare,
Yeah. So
Montessori inspired childcare.
I also as a parent needs to be
Ah,
like
it's a cooperative.
exactly.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. You're involved in the
Yeah, and I
childcare.
love that. Like
Yes.
some people,
Yeah.
wow, isn't there a lot of work? I'm like, no, I mean, I guess maybe that school is pretty chill, but I mean, I love being part of it. Like now we had a
Yeah.
Halloween party and I helped out decorating and, cleaning up. Like it's just, I love being part of his life and his school,
Yeah.
and that's the most important thing for me. So obviously I could live anywhere because I know I
Yeah.
can, and I can do it with Rumi too. And I have been doing it, but Sweden just felt right. And I'm actually happy that it felt right because I've always had the eager to go somewhere and like be somewhere where I feel more alive and more creative. But I'm just really liking the challenge of, trying to figure it out here. Because I
Yeah.
know I can do it anywhere else, but I would also like to see if I can make it here. And I mean, I'm making it, I'm doing it, but
You are making it. Yes.
yeah, of course, but more like,
But it's a different, like you said, it's a different kind of making it because the market
yeah,
looks different the
Yeah.
climate is different even. I mean, you can't just go out to the beach and like do a shoot any day of the
Yeah,
year. So you have to
exactly.
adapt and find other
Yeah.
kinds of inspiration.
Mm.
And you probably have more of a routine there, right?
Yeah,
And
for
routine is a
sure. Yeah.
blessing, especially for kids, but it can also be a little bit
I mean,
challenging for
I've
creativity, right?
always been, there was this quote that I saved early on when I was living in New York that like people love like there's something with routines, but I found them not deadly, but like they killed my creativity and but now obviously with Rumi, there's something nice to it, and I appreciate it waking up early in the morning, having like leaving him at school but still there's like also that I spoke with my dad. There's like a interesting because being a creative, your creativity doesn't come to you from 9 to 4 when I have Rumi at school. It comes like, oh, maybe it comes in the evening, or maybe it comes like the last hour of me sitting working with my computer before I need to pick up Rumi, and then I'm like, oh no, I need to leave. There's like, there's
Yeah, creativity is not, it doesn't happen
no,
on demand, so to
yeah.
speak.
So that
Yeah.
I'm working on that, and that's also something that I like the challenge, but I struggle a little bit with that, like trying to be more efficient during the time that I have by myself, and because I've always been flowy and just going with life. But having a child has definitely put the way I see life and they have lived life to a different place.
Yes. I mean, this kind of ties in also to how we see success and how we see,
Mm,
the values of life. And I think that it changes. Like you said, you had this experience of thinking success was more the traditional way first, but then as you
yeah.
lived in New York and saw all that, you were like,
Mm-hmm.
actually, this isn't what I value and call success. And then you lived and traveled all around the world, and I would say got very successful in your creative field and,
Mm,
got to do a lot of amazing stuff. And now you're a present loving mom moving back to integrate into Sweden, living away
yeah.
all these years. And again, your idea of success is changing because it looks different. You're experiencing different parts and lenses of life, right? And so I believe that it's really important. And by the sound of it, you're doing that already. It's like redefining success in the time that you're at. Because actually, the most intelligent thing is to evolve, right? That is how we
Mm-hmm.
adapt. That's how we get flexible. And
Yeah.
so, if I asked you, like, right now, what would you say feels like success to you? If you took away all this noise around and you're like, for me, right now in my life,
Mm.
this feels successful.
I've always loved that question because I feel that success for me, um, it's just been a different meaning to me because I think the word success is like not misunderstood because everybody takes it for how they see it. But success for me has always been feeling happy where I am. And I've
Yeah,
always been a person, I never had FOMO, like fear of missing out in my whole life. I've always been happy where I am because I decided to
yeah,
be here. Like I didn't
yeah,
decide to be anywhere else. And my decision is, I stand firm with that. So same thing with now, like I took the decision to move back, and for me now success is like making life the best way possible for my son.
yeah,
And also obviously for me because I mean, he can be happy anywhere, I would say, because if I'm happy, he's happy. And, if, he was happy in Costa Rica, and obviously there's a urge in me wanting him to be running around barefoot and like playing with sand and in the ocean. Like I want that for him. And I've always wanted that for him. But then I'm like, do I want it for him because I want it? Like
yeah.
I ask myself those
Good
questions a lot.
questions. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But I just know that kids thrive from being in nature. And I think that
yeah,
in Sweden, you play different here. But I try to like still be that mom who, we go to the ocean a lot. And,
yeah.
I've always been,
You do live in a very beautiful place in Sweden where you have nature really close to you
yeah,
all the time,
my
you
parents has
know?
a house close to the ocean. And obviously my apartment is more in town, but we're also super close to a really nice forest. Like it's incredible. So there's still ways, like even in my like not open-minded towards Sweden. So now I'm trying to be more
Yeah,
open-minded towards Sweden and like really, because Sweden isn't a great it's a beautiful country, and there's so many ways to also create here. So success is being healthy. It's waking up every day, and also with everything that's happening in the world, I feel like I'm just so grateful for being able to be around loved ones and for doing what I love and having the privilege of doing that. And also being a mom is just such like it's a challenge, but it's also just so beautiful to be a mom.
Yes.
So for all of those things to me are success. Like I read something like really bad at remember like count the things that money can buy and that's how you see how rich you are because I mean,
I love that.
yeah,
Yeah, I love that. I think that's beautiful. And on that note, I would love to ask you, is there any other artists and I don't know, movies, books, musicians, anything that guests listening to a Friends of Sublime podcast could, look up in the show notes? We can tag them. Like what moves you, I don't know, do you have any favorite artists, musicians? Did
Ooh,
you watch an amazing movie? It doesn't have to be something that you did right now. It can be something that you enjoyed in general on your journey in life.
yeah, I mean, it's funny because I remember getting your email and it said like what has inspired you in your life and in your career and role models. My parents are my role models. And I never been a
I love
person.
this.
Yeah, I never been a
I
person who
love.
had like I've never been a fan of things. No, I think I liked Britney Spears when I was a kid because my neighbor, she loved Britney Spears. So I was like, oh, Britney Spears. But I never and maybe that's boring, to be honest. Like, I'm not so easily impressed.
Yeah.
Is that weird to say? I mean, and
No,
not
not
to
at all.
sound no, not to
But I
sound
mean,
like
rather than maybe, like idols of some kind, maybe there's like music, because I do
no,
know
of
that
course
you
music. I
are
love
enjoying a
music.
lot of things that are creative. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there
No,
any
of course.
artist that you listen to that people could look at that we can tag in the show notes?
I mean, for now, my favorite artist is her name is Olivia Dean.
Uh-huh.
But otherwise, Olivia Dean is definitely my go-to.
Beautiful.
And yeah, she's incredible. And she sings a lot about she sings for women and about like
Uh-huh.
love and yeah. And I think also it's funny during the times where I would see myself as a very happy person, but I am, as you know, in my human design, very emotional. And the times where I feel really low and sad,
Yeah.
music comes to me. But that's the thing, I'm really bad at names, so I can't like name drop all the artists that I
But
like.
you know what we can do? You can have a little look into what you listen to, and then we'll add that into the show notes so people can get a little
Yeah,
collection
of course.
of
I can
different
yeah.
musicians, because I also believe that music is such a game changer for creativity.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I mean, you're quite famous for your like kitchen dances with Linos. There's a
No!
lot of good dances. And I mean, I know your
I've done
dance
like
moves. You got
one or
some good
two, but
moves
yeah, yeah.
going on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
No,
so
I love
I
music. I
think,
love dancing.
yeah,
I love
yeah, you
dancing.
do. And I see a lot of inspiration in that. So it'd be great.
Mhm.
We'll add that into
Of
the show notes.
course.
You'll send it to me and we'll add to show notes so people
Yeah.
and listeners can find some new music maybe and some new
Yeah, for
creativity.
sure.
Yeah,
That's
I
better.
love
I'm
that.
not good at name dropping or like that. Like I'll definitely make a list for
Yeah,
you.
I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
We have spoken about so many things, and I think that the sum of all of this is that you, as a manifesting generator, really need to do what lights you up, and maybe actually not plan so much far ahead. Kind of rather
But
be in the moment, which I love.
yeah, we
That's what
will
it
talk.
looks like at the moment.
No, it's
Yeah.
really interesting that you're doing this human design things with your podcasters because that also actually brought me a lot of clarification. Because I read like being 6'2", there's like from my 0 to 30, there's like this explorative phase of my life, which it was, and like taking
Yes.
risks and chances. But then after 30, like I am now, like I'm choosing Sweden for more like stability, and it's insane. I'm like, how?
It's like on there, right? It's
Yeah.
so good. It's
How
so
do
good.
they know? Yeah, it's just creepy, but
Yeah.
also, yeah.
No, it's beautiful, I think.
Yeah,
It's
cool.
beautiful. Yeah, I think that this has been an amazing share and very inspiring for people to know your journey and your work. And I guess the last thing I'd love to say is also that, as you are in Sweden right now, Clara is available for if you're a cool creative client who's listening to this podcast and you want a photographer in Sweden, or I would say in Europe, probably it could be happening as well. You should reach out to Clara. I'm going to add all of her details in the show notes as well. Clara, look at her social media, because also if you're an aspiring photographer, she does this amazing photography. Are they day courses or like a few day courses when you kind of go out in nature?
It's been different. It's been different type of courses, but
different formats.
The ones I've been doing here in Sweden has been 2-day courses.
2-day courses, yeah.
I've definitely working on one that I hopefully will release soon. But that's also something with like the climate here. But I shouldn't stop myself from doing that just because it's getting colder, and it could also be beautiful.
I was about to say, you could actually have a beautiful experience, especially if it does get really cold, and then you have a whole other kind of environment that appears, which is really beautiful. So thank you for being on Friends of Sublime, Clara, and for sharing so openly about your journey in creativity, motherhood, and just in general, like what you have experienced. I think it's a great one. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
And that was Clara Morberg, photographer, creative director, and mother. You can experience her world on Instagram at Clara Morberg and on her website directly, which is www.clarachristina.art. What I love about this conversation is how we redefine success, not as achievement, but as time and freedom. Because sometimes the most successful thing we can do is give ourselves back time. If this episode resonates, share it or leave a review. It helps Friends of Sublime podcast to reach others who are remembering the same truth. Until next time, stay close to your intuition, know your rhythm, and create from stillness. See you next time.